Chapter 4, Monsoon Massacre. The monsoon pounded the jungle canopy. I trudged sullenly along the trail. My olive drab poncho and my mood were matching accessories to this mindless war ensemble. I was dressed to kill. Air surveillance had spotted a hamlet in a clearing with 2 small rice paddies being worked by the VC. Take away their food and the fanatic can't fight, so says the book on guerrilla war. Take away their food and they become hungry fanatics, more lethal in practice than theory, so says Poet. We moved in wraith formation through the water-world vegetation for another hour or so. The rain stopped and the sun filtered through the cover foliage. Within minutes, steam-like fog rose from the humus and radically changed the environment. The jungle came alive with sound. I gazed around and felt myself an intruder in this ethereal scene. A hazy silhouette of 10 men shucking their ponchos seemed incongruous, somehow unreal. 2 more clicks east and we'll be there, First Lieutenant cautioned. Let's maintain noise discipline. Poet, take point. Let's go. Old Remy wasn't such a bad dude. His father wanted him to go to Harvard, graduate to the State Department, climb the ladder, and tap the power that only CEOs can imagine. Protect the interests of the family's business, munitions. Remy chose West Point in Vietnam instead. I chuckle when I think what his old man learned about karma. To profit by war is to someday live with it. I stopped in my tracks, my right thigh mere inches from a strand of wire stretched taut across the trail. Sunlight shafted in dappled fashion and happened to reflect off the wet tripwire and catch my eye. Praise creation, I whispered, and slowly backed away to warn the others. Close now, we proceeded with nerve-rasping caution. I saw the sun shining brighter through the trees and heard the sing-song voice of Vietnamese women carrying into the jungle. High-pitched and haunting, the sound came to me as if from far, far away. I listened rapt. She held me mesmerized. Poet, Remy shook my shoulder and brought me back. Remy, there's women working that paddy. Probably kids, too. Let's dee-dee-mow, man. We can't do this. How do you know that? I heard 'em. I can't hear 'em. You hear 'em, Sarge? No, sir, I don't hear 'em. All right, let's spread out and get some good angles on this paddy. If we've got bona fide VC working this rice crop, I'll signal the ambush. Poet, you stay with me. 5 minutes to positions. Let's go. He sure likes to say let's go a lot, I thought, as we crawled through the wet growth across layers of life's decay, purposefully bound for glory. Moments later, I gazed out through the tree-line cover on a scene of incomprehension. 15 or 20 people worked the paddy, all dressed in black, all with AKs slung across their backs, all women. A few men stood around with weapons, supposedly in casual readiness, not working, standing guard, but mostly bantering good-naturedly with the women, or so I surmised. I turned my head to the lieutenant and emphatically shook my head no. He grimaced in agreement. Let's pull back, he whispered, just as all hell broke loose. Someone couldn't wait for the slaughter. M16 automatic fire tore through the air. The women fell like rag dolls, some with babies instead of AKs on their backs, I noticed. The village returned sporadic fire, but the carnage was over, the massacre complete. If you can't take the food away from the enemy, take the enemy away from the food. I looked at Lieutenant Remington. He was gazing in open-mouthed wonder at the horror of war. He turned to me and choked, "Why, Poet, why?" The pain in his eyes mirrored the ache in my heart. "Let's go," I said, glancing back at the woman with a child on her back lying face down in the rice paddy, riddled with 7.2 millimeter ordnance, as was her baby. Not 12 feet away, my mind took a picture. I turned from this unimaginable horror and followed Remy to the patrol's rendezvous point. We met up and moved out. Not a word was said. We left the trail and took an evasive tactical maneuver. We went back to Fire Support Base Dante by circuitous means. Crashing broken field through the jungle, we ran from the scene of the crime. What crime? some abstract moral crime with blood and death. Not like TV, more tangible. We stopped to rest a few clicks from Fire Support Base Dante. Lieutenant Remy took Sergeant Kill off to the side. "Why did you open fire?" he queried. Sergeant Kill responded, "I knew you and Poet were too weak. Those women all had guns and they were all VC. We're here to kill VC, not moralize the issue like you bleeding heart liberals like to do. It needed to be done. I got it done. It's not on your conscience. It's on mine. Hell, you and Poet didn't even fire a shot. You can still go to bed with Jane Fonda. 20 VC killed in action. No losses. Perfect situation, Lieutenant Remington. A boost to your career and no guilt. Trust me." Remy walked away, shaking his head sadly. We all felt dirty except for Sergeant Kill. He looked content. "I'll walk point the rest of the way. You stay behind me. Put Sarge at the rear," I told Remy in sotto voce. He formed up the patrol, and with little conviction, he nonetheless uttered, "Let's go." After 20 minutes of blazing trail, I lagged back and told Remy to take point for a spell. This close to camp, probably not too much danger. "Ha!" He nodded and walked on resignedly. I drifted into the trees and let the patrol pass. I stepped out and pretended to tie my boot just as Sarge came by. I fell in beside him and told him how much sense his resolution of this occurrence de guerre made. "Why make a big deal out of something that's done in combat? We're fighting for our lives here. We have a right to make mistakes." "Ah, no mistake, Poet. We done good. We just can't tell the truth. In a sense, we're heroes," he intoned. "You got a loose strap on your pack, Sarge." I fell in behind him and adjusted his pack as we walked slow through the late afternoon. Tired, almost there. We tended to feel secure at this stage of nearly every patrol. "You sure got a lot of extra weight in here, what with the claymores and frags, Sarge." "I'm like a Boy Scout, Poet. I'm always prepared." I pulled the pin as I coughed, wedged my own grenade in between a claymore and his back at the top of his pack. I snugged down the straps, patted him on the shoulder, and said, "We better get going. We're falling behind." "You go ahead, get your space, and I'll take the rear," I volunteered. He moved down the trail, and it was all I could do not to sprint away to safety. When he had a 12-pace interval, he glanced back, sneered, and equated, "I still think people like you and the Louie are sissies, Poet. No backbone action." "Let's go," was all I could rejoin in my quixotic, emotional state. He turned and moved quickly down the trail. I drifted into the jungle and moved to the front of the patrol in minutes. I took point back from Remy, and after 10 minutes of intense anticipation, the explosion swept through the jungle in staccato. It sounded like separate claps of thunder with tremendous background rumble, claymores, grenades, a mess kit, and Sergeant Kill going every which direction. As we gathered at the scene, Sergeant Kill was part of the landscape. The trees and earth were littered with his scattered refuse. I felt some remorse. Not too much, though. "What happened, Poet? What the hell killed him like that?" Lieutenant Remy was monotonal. "It had been a long, long karma," I ventured. "Manifest karma. He carried enough tricks in his backpack to wipe out bridges, tanks, or villages. He didn't care which. One of his frags probably got to shifting around and the pin worked loose. When it fell out, the grenade may have shifted among the claymores. The spoon found room to arm, and kaboom! Instant karma." "This is wrong. This whole fucking thing is evil," screamed Remy. "Don't tell God that. He don't take much to criticism." "Which do you like better, Grandpa? Sunshine or rain?" "I love 'em both the same, son. I surely do." There were ships on the horizon, and they flew a friendly flag, but the sailors on the poop deck were all dressed in drag. I ran from Sausalito like a macho incarnate, ran into a skinhead, face to face with hate. I scrambled to my feet and quickly took my leave, ran around the corner and encountered the police. "Hit the sidewalk, spread your legs, show me some ID. Sorry, sir, I've got no proof that verifies I'm me. In fact, I'm not sure who I am." "Who the hell are you?" "I'm your last protection, boy. I'm the man in blue." He let me go by and by, didn't have a clue, didn't have a thing on me he could ever prove. Down the street a prostitute made a proposition, compromised my pocketbook in every position. Satisfied, I crawled away, still somewhat in need, came upon a Mooney selling flowers piously. Baffled and disheartened, I approached the mission door. The bread was stale, the bed was hard, the soup just barely warm. Pass the bottle, pass the hat, pass the buck and plate. Momentary comfort won't forever keep you safe. Hollywood, Malibu, Compton, Tijuana, San Diego, Los Barriles, Baja. Everywhere I've ever been, from Nam to Karlsruhe, Amsterdam to Bangkok, Spain to Honolulu, every situation held a fragile moment captive, fed the hungry spirit, nourished energy to action. Who the hell are you? I'm an act of love looking for something to do. Grandpa, when old people sigh and say, "Those were the good old days," what do they mean? Son, it seems the memory treats yesterday like an old friend after a while. If not for a teardrop, what is a smile?